Welcome to Try Not to Overthink It. I'm RJ.
I'm unique.
And I'm Khalil.
Every day, just like you, we find ourselves trying to make sense of this crazy thing that we call life. As peers in the healthcare profession, we find ourselves discussing and debating many different topics. After many heated debates, we decided to both expand upon these topics and give them to you from our viewpoints as licensed therapists and social workers. If this is your first time here, we'd like to thank you for checking us out, and we hope that you'll become part of the tribe and participate in the conversations. So today we are going to speak on having a support system. I feel like that's exceedingly important, especially in today's society with the way that, you just have so many different things coming at you. For all of us, there comes a time in our life where we try to strike out and want to accomplish things on our own. Most times that can feel liberating and you can feel like you're on top of the world. And other times it can create a sense of loneliness and a sense of just, just despair, I guess. Life was not meant to be experienced alone, and that's where your support system comes into play. It doesn't make you weak or less than to rely on others around you, as having others around you can help you through those tough times, and it can be a point of strength and not a point of weakness. For me personally, having people in my corner that I can trust can help me through that, manage the everyday struggles, work through a crisis, and even make difficult decisions. Your support system can take many different forms and can include many different people, ranging from family, friends, your significant other, even colleagues. So I definitely think that, you are only as successful as the people that you have around you. I know that Khalil said something last week in our last episode about the importance of, just surrounding himself around having certain people around him. He said that when he was wanting to become a clinician, he surrounded himself with other clinicians. Because again, like that adage goes of iron sharpens iron. I definitely resonate with that because I'm the same way. I try to surround myself with people who are doing the same things I'm trying to do or have already accomplished the things that I'm trying to accomplish because they inspire and motivate me to keep on doing what I'm doing. What do you guys think about that?
I totally disagree. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I just wanted to get a little chuckle in there. No, I think that you're spot on, in that having people in your corner who understand not just you, but where you're wanting to go is important, right? I can count the times when I've had supports in my life, and these people rock with me because they like me, but they didn't really understand where I was headed. And so while I felt supported, I think the layer of support that I felt when people rock with me because they rock with me, and people understood where I either wanted to go or where I was, I felt a double layer of support. So yeah, I get that.
Most definitely, I agree with both of you all, but I also know from the other standpoint, working in the field that I work in, I've been able to be on the other side where it's so difficult to trust people sometimes, especially to trust people with your vision, to trust people with different issues that's going on in your life. Especially those who've been hurt before. When you put your trust in someone, even a coworker, telling them about something that's going on, a situation that you have at home or something, they tell other people. So I know a lot of people, especially in our society, they struggle with who can I trust? Who can I trust who really wants to have my best interest, who really wants to help me or support me? And that paranoia that you go through. If I tell this person, they're going to tell the other person. If I'm, do I want to look weak to this person? Because I know when I was in school, I went to school at an early age and dropped out. And when I went back to school, I was grown. You know what I'm saying? At 34, trying to go back to school, I was blessed because I had this drive, and I was kind of learning from some other people too. I tried to put myself around people who could help me, but I didn't know who to trust. And so luckily the way God works, right? People were set up in my life that I could trust, but I had a hard time, like, especially people who were a little younger than me, or, I was like, how are they going to see me? Because I don't know how to write a paper. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to really break down a thesis statement. I didn't really know, what I'm saying, how to actually write a proper introduction to a little narrative, short story, whatever you want to call it. So I was struggling in English, and math wasn't really my problem. I catch on the numbers. You can get that off of YouTube. But I needed to actually humble myself and ask for help. But I was so used to people, taking advantage of me, or, you ask for help and then they're telling people he don't know nothing. So I remember going through that paranoia and not feeling as if I can trust people. And what I had to do is I had to go out on faith partially, but God put people in my life that kind of like really pulled me. They pulled me. They helped propel me to where I needed to be. One of my mentors, Dr. Frederick Woods, he is really well known in the Huntsville area because he used to do a lot of speaking engagements on mental health. And so he was like, look, this is what I'm going to do for you. He was like, I want you to go speak at this church. He's like, we're going to talk about mental health. He's like, this is like my first year back in school. And he was like, I got you. He's like, I need to see you out there. It's like, and I thought he was trying to set me up. I was like, these people, I don't know what the hell I'm really talking about. I only know a little bit of book knowledge. And then some of the knowledge that I got from working at the mental health center. He's like, no, I want you to go out there and talk. He's like, I'm not going to be able to make it, but I trust that you're going to be able to do this. He gave me a little outline. And let's just tell you about how paranoid I was. I was like, man, maybe I'll go out there and people gonna be like laughing at me or something. And is he trying to test me? I don't know. And just by going with that thought alone, I almost set myself up for failure because I was so nervous. And then when I finally got out there, and he gave me prompts and everything to follow and statistics, it's like the man wasn't setting me up for failure. He wanted to give me an opportunity to shine. And he believed in me before I believed in myself. And that's when God started working in my life, I think, to allow me to get that faith that I can trust some people, but I had to have that judgment, right? And I had to build my network and get people who were like-minded, people who had the same vision I had, and people who wanted the same things that I wanted. And once I was able to do that, I was able to let down my guard. But I think I was like a lot of people. I really didn't think that people had my best interest because of my experiences in the past. And they haunted me for a long time.
I think what you talk about, the most important thing you were talking about there was vulnerability, right? Getting to a place where you had to allow yourself to be vulnerable. And vulnerability is scary when you're trying new things, when you're trying old things, when there's some trauma there. Because you talked about the trauma of being burned by people before, and then having to be vulnerable again with having some insecurities, right? And so when you add vulnerabilities with trauma and insecurities, then you have to start healing some of those things before you can be open again, right? And I think sometimes, especially in the work that we do, when we say things like trust, we don't always put it in the context of health or healing or wholeness, right? We're like, oh, just trust the person. You just got to step out there. But I think what a lot of people don't see is the step laying or the foundation building that we spend so much time with our clients in doing, because we understand that layer of vulnerability takes time, but it also comes from a place of health, right? I was just talking to my mom this morning about the same thing. Like growing up, I am from a big city, and like most metropolitan places, they tell you, oh, you can't trust anybody.
Right.
And so the only people you can trust is like your parents, your siblings, like maybe your aunts, uncles, and cousins. But really, like the people who live in your house, that's it. That's all you can trust. And so when we left and we moved down south, I didn't know anybody. And so again, I felt like, well, I can't trust anybody. we kept moving around. We moved about every 3 years to a different state. And so it was just solidified that I can't trust people. These are the only people that I feel safe enough to trust. And once I became an adult, most adults have this dissonance where whatever they learned in their childhood usually gets confronted in their adulthood, and they have to make a decision to either adapt or change or rethink it. But for me, a lot of what I learned in my childhood about people not being trustworthy was affirmed in my adulthood, right? Because I had been hurt. I had experienced some trauma from people who I thought would have been there, or who promised to be there, who promised to deliver, and they didn't. But the thing that I had to learn was not that people are not trustworthy. I had to say, okay, yes, this happened to me. Yes, this hurt. But it doesn't say anything about me. It doesn't say that I'm not valuable, right? It says that this person, they did not align well with me. They did not align well with my vision. But there are people who do. And I have to be willing to be vulnerable enough to put in the extra work to flesh people out a little bit more, have healthier boundaries, not be so open to everybody, but learning to have those layers. You guys know how I talk about everybody's not privy to you. And that is because there are stages in which people develop permanence in your life. And so, but I learned that through trial and error. I learned that through having a healthy support in my family, having a home base that I could come back to and say, okay, this is what good support feels like. This is what an edifice of, okay, I know what this feels like. And so when something was contrary to that, instead of just going back into my black hole, which I still do sometimes, but I challenge myself. Yeah, no, but I am. But I challenge myself that the black hole is not the safe space. The black hole is me hiding from what's really out there for me. And I have to be vulnerable with people, even when it's uncomfortable. Even as a therapist, I have to be vulnerable enough to get what I actually want. But I'm never going to get that in my black hole.
Right.
So I agree with what you guys are saying. I think that for most people, we have a romanticized idea of what it looks like to surround yourself with the right people. You know, the people who are meant to be in your life for more than just a second, a minute, an hour, or a day, they will kind of gravitate to you. You won't have to go looking for them.
Right.
It's kind of like if you've ever played like an RPG, a role playing game, or watched anything of in that genre of storytelling. The main character slowly and steadily, as he's making his journey or her journey through whatever the particular background is, they pick up people. They pick up people. The person joins their party for whatever reason, and they become an invaluable asset to that person's overall journey throughout the story. The person didn't just start off immediately having everything and every resource at their disposal. They had to go through something. And, as I said in the last episode, there's something about going through the struggle with somebody that brings you closer together. And so when people are a part of your support system, they're invested in you, regardless if there's something in it for them. Right. They will cheer you on, and they will get in your ass when you are wrong. Because they're going to hold you accountable.
As a good support does, though, because I think when you talk about they may not get anything, a good support does get something, even if it's just the fact that you succeeded, right?
For sure.
I get my return on my investment was not me getting something monetary. The return on my investment, my mom used to say this about us, the return on her investment in being a stay-at-home mom and choosing to homeschool was that now she has kids all like this. Me and my sisters, all three of us have masters. My two brothers are college graduates. Nobody had any kids before they were ready. Like, she didn't have any teen parents. My mom was a teen mom, but she didn't have any teen parents.
Wow.
And she told us, I'm not saying this to like put a chip on my shoulder, but this was you guys are my investment. And so I was intentional about the things I poured into you because there was a certain life I wanted for you guys. And so now when she looks at us, she's just like, you know, I see my investment. Like I got what I put in it, I got out of it triple fold, you know, quadruple fold because it's 5 of us. So she's like, I got my investment more times over. And to look at us, and now like some of us are married and have kids, now she's able to sit back and it's like, yeah. But to the average person, they might be like, oh, well, none of your kids are, you know, pro athletes and they're not like being able to provide you with material things, but the things that we are able to provide our mom with, those are not some of her sibling stories or her peer stories. That's not what people are hearing.
Yeah. Right. I mean, most definitely. I mean, you like what you touched on about pouring into somebody. That is what your support system does. They pour into you. They feed into you. You know, because there's going to be times where you're like, man, this just ain't it. Mm-hmm. You know, like they will be those people that motivate you. Like I tell my parents that all the time. You know, I am only as successful as the people that are around me. Mm-hmm. Because if it wasn't for those people around me, you know, me by myself, I am an amazing person, but I am prone to doing things rashly and just I think it and I'm just acting on it.
Right.
You know, but having people in my corner that I can stop and process things with, and get their honest opinion. And I know that they're going to give me an honest opinion. They're not just going to feed me some foolishness or tell me that my idea is the greatest idea ever, knowing that it's not.
I'm going to do that though. I'm gonna do that.
Well, see, the problem with that is, and Unique, I know what you mean by that, but the problem with that is, and I think what RJ's addressing is that when we surround ourselves with yes men and yes women, all right, that's to our own detriment. I need someone who's going to sharpen me, right? When iron sharpens iron, it rubs up against it. And I need somebody that's going to be a little abrasive at times to be like, no, that don't sound smart. Like, yeah, your other idea was cool. This one right here sounds like
that ain't it.
Failure. That ain't
it, my boy. That ain't it.
That ain't it, my boy. Boy, you know how folks do you, right? But I need that. I have a few folks I'll run stuff by, and they be like, "Are you sure that don't sound smart?" So I need that in order to keep me accountable to some of my things. Like, hey, like RJ said, we can be irrational. We're people. If something moves me emotionally, I might jump at it, you know. But is that the best move for me at that moment? Because, you know, I'm not playing checkers. This is chess. I really need to know what my next move is going to be before I even make the next one. You know, I really be on target.
The problem that I think that for a lot of us, what we tend to do, and I, you know, and just thinking about it, we will hold on to certain relationships past their expiration date, right?
Yes.
And so what we tend to want to do is we tend to want to bring everybody to everything that we do.
But you know why though? You know why we do that?
Because it's comfortable for us.
It's comfortable, and we have this unhealthy expectation that everybody has our best interest in mind.
And they don't. Like I've been watching, you know, Sports Center, you know, for like the past couple of days. And so, you know, they've been having, you know, different debates about one of the players that plays on the Memphis Grizzlies. And
Ja Morant. Yep.
Yeah. And Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless were talking about how, especially Shannon Sharp. And he said something that, you know, I'd never really thought about before, but he was like, association equals assimilation. Yeah. And, you know, you tend to pick up habits based off of the association.
Listen, that's the Bible. That's not even Shannon Sharp. That's the Bible. It says, by beholding, you become changed.
And I mean, you know, like, you know, because they've been talking about how he got suspended for 2 games because he posted a gun in an Instagram video, in an Instagram post or something. You know, he was holding a gun in the picture or the video or something. And so, you know, the thing about it is this right here. Like when people are truly there for you and truly love you for you, somebody would have pulled him aside and said, "Hey man, you tripping. You doing too much right now.
Right.
Hey, that ain't for you. You know, that might be for somebody else, but that ain't for you. Like you're going places." And I remember being
he's acceptable to his team because his entourage. I think he's susceptible because I think the picture they're trying to paint for this young man, he's falling right into it. He's the new school Iverson because like I grew up in that area where Iverson was from, especially when Iverson used to come to Washington D.C. That entourage of his, that's what they portrayed, and I think he's fallen into that bad boy image. We gonna whoop your ass if you come this way. Like I think that's that image, and it. I guess that's what they want to market. But if you want to be a basketball star, that might not be the best way to go.
Straight up fumble your bag, and I mean that's the thing. Like from a lot of us, we have to understand that, And I had this conversation with my coworkers the other day. Everything ain't for everybody.
No.
Every party isn't for everyone. There are some friends that I'll invite to this type of party, and then there are other friends that I will invite to other types of parties. Why? Because for some people, they only want to be at a certain point. And so as we grow and as we mature and as we evolve.
That's it right there, the mature part.
As I mature, there's certain things I leave behind. There's certain behaviors I leave behind, certain thought processes I leave behind. And so as my friends and as people part of my support system, when you see me going in the wrong direction, you're supposed to be feeding into me to make sure I don't continue to go in the wrong direction.
Right.
It's no different than if I see that you're trying to lose weight. That's your goal. I know you're trying to lose weight. I'd be a fool and a horrible friend to sit here and eat a Whopper or a Big Mac in your face. Knowing that you're trying to lose weight, knowing that I'm or discouraging you from going for a walk or going for a run or going to the gym. Like people who are investing in you and part of your support system, they should be feeding into the positive things that you're doing, and not feeding into the negative. They should be championing your successes and helping you learn from your failures. And that might sound a little weird, like when people talk about failures. And for me, I was just having this conversation with somebody yesterday. You learn far more from losing and failing than you ever do winning all the time.
Right.
Yep. I just learned that. I was at a business conference this weekend, and that's what they were talking about. Fail fast and often. Mm-hmm. Because when you do, your lessons are so much greater, when you keep getting the yeses and people just kind of allow you to keep getting higher and higher, that fall is going to be a lot more detrimental, right? That failure is going to be a lot more detrimental if you made it here and nobody told you about that you're messed up, rather than if you were here and they'd be like, oh, no, that's rancid. You need to cut that out,
right?
And get your feelings hurt a couple times, get your pride knocked down. And I'm not talking about something that is degrading to you, because I don't think every failure has to be degrading. But I think sometimes when you fall, it's that fall and having those healthy supports to tell you, all right, so what did you learn from this? Mm-hmm. How do you want to intend to grow? All right, you saw what that got you. Now what's next?
Yeah.
Right. I keep remembering she's 9 now. 9 going on 19. But my 9-year-old, 19-year-old, I'm trying to teach her before she actually hits teenage years that very lesson, right? I grew up where my parents, sometimes they explain things to me, but a lot of times they did not. But I do a lot of explaining to her before I just jump into autocorrect the behavior.
Right.
I want her to think about the behavior. I said, okay, so what did you just do? Did it get the result? Did it get the outcome of what you wanted from me? Right? Is this how you wanted me to respond to this behavior? Or is this the outcome that you wanted? Well, no. I said, okay, so what's one thing you could have done differently? You still did it incorrectly. Like we can agree that it's not right? But what's one thing, looking back now that it's finished, what's something else you could have done to get a different outcome, right? Oh, I could have did this. I could have did that. I could have just stopped and took a moment to think about it. I said, okay, so going forward, what are we going to do next time? And so I make her go down the list. And I mean, this is not always an easy task. Sometimes it is met with frustration. It is met with tears. It is met with her looking like she want to bang me right in the face.
Right.
And I let her know, do not You don't want to do that. You don't want them problems, big fella.
Well, look, the thing is, right, which what you're doing, which I applaud, because many people don't do this, you're teaching her how to critically think things through, right?
Yep.
Critical thinking is a skill. That doesn't come naturally. Some people have a little bit more street smarts, a little more common sense, but a lot of people will be book smart, and so you figure, oh, you know how to critically think because you book smart. No, critically thinking comes as a skill. I had to learn that in school. I had to learn that as a clinician. People had to teach me how to process through things because I would always move in a hurry. Sometimes I'd be stressed out, couldn't make a good decision. It's true. It's true because I'd be running. RJ knows it. I just get to running, right? No. Slow down.
Yep.
Process what's going on right now. And it's if you don't have a parent that's going to sit down there with you and do that, and actually show you why you're wrong and show you why you got that outcome, you'll keep doing it for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Well, I mean, what you spoke to is, constructive criticism.
Right.
Like a lot of people confuse hating with constructive criticism, because you're not just co-signing what I'm doing or you hating on me. When someone is providing you constructive criticism, they're not only telling you that your idea is a bad one, but they're explaining to you why it's bad.
Well, in cancel culture, they can appreciate that in cancel culture.
And I mean, and that's a problem. I feel like in today's society is that we cannot have honest conversations with each other without someone being offended. When it comes to being the best version of yourself, because the crux of what we're talking about today is you becoming the best version of yourself. Yep. You individually are never going to achieve the things that you could achieve when you have a team behind you. When you think of like Michael Jordan, for example.
You mean when you don't have a team behind you?
Yeah, when you don't have a team behind you. When you like, there's this debate of Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. Who's the best basketball player of all times? People,
who had the
LeBron James and Michael Jordan. And I have this conversation with one of the guys from the barbershop all the time. Michael Jordan, I feel personally, was the better player. The reason why is because Michael Jordan made the other people around him better. Like, you can't take anybody from those teams and point to individual successes where they had the same level of success they had when they were playing with Michael Jordan versus when they went and played other places.
Right.
Like, you can't, like the core team he had, Tony Kukoc, Luke Longley, Ron Harper, Scottie Pippen, Steve Kerr. How many championships singularly did each one of those players earn away from Michael Jordan? Steve Kerr won a couple, I think. Yeah, he won one with the Spurs. But they didn't have the same level of success. Whereas people have won championships not playing with LeBron James. Like, yes, I can't take anything away from what he brings to the team.
He's definitely a superstar.
But people are capable of
LeBron. He's got a hell of a team around him. When I'm talking about all those people, Rich Paul, all them guys that are around him. That's a sharp team to run with.
I think that the reason why LeBron was even successful in getting a ring was because when he started playing like a team and relying on his support, as opposed to when he was playing with the Cavs and he was playing tennis, solo tennis. Because his talents are undeniable.
Yeah, for sure.
They're undeniable, hands down. But I think that when you forget the type of sport that you're playing, it's a team sport. And what makes you best is when you guys are functioning like a machine, right? Right? And so you can't carry, people are like, well, he carried a team on his back. There is no such thing as carrying a team on your back. You will not be successful. You will burn out like that.
We win together or we fail together. It's just what it is. Like you spoke about that last week. We do everything. For me, when I have conversations with people at work, like when we're arguing, I say we collectively look some kind of way. We will potentially get in trouble for that. We will be responsible for that because, again, what ends up happening is you interacted with that client, You talk to me about it. Now I'm pulled into it. Now anything that happens, now we collectively are involved.
No, but see, the thing is, even if they never talk to you about it, for the simple fact that this is our organization that we all show up to, you can't make solo decisions without thinking of how this affects the team. You can't do that. My parents used to tell us that all the time growing up. Like, don't get out this house acting dumb, because it reflects on the family, and you will not dishonor the family name like that. Exactly. And so we carried that. And I think I told you guys before on a previous episode, I had a friend. Her name was Janelle. Loved Janelle. She was a little older than us, but we would go to class like midterms and finals. She would give us this pep talk. All right, go in these finals and crush it. Do not embarrass me. I don't have no dumb friends. So you better get in there. You better kill it. And I'm like, bro, every time I'm like, all right, bet. Sometimes I went in there and I did not crush it, but I went in there with all aims to do it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when I came out, I low-key was like, yo, I didn't get the grade I thought I was going to get. She's like, but did you put maximum effort? I was like, I did. And so she was like, well, then that's all I could ask for. We win some, we lose some, but you put in maximum effort, you still could, you make the cut for a friend. But I appreciated that, because going to a school that, I'm trying to say this nicely about my undergraduate degree. Yes, try to be political about it. There were different sections in the university. And so having a strong support in certain groups of the student body, it was helpful because everybody was not that supportive when it comes to like the staff. So having friends that like try to pull us through and was like, oh no, we ain't getting over here and act like this, because they're not gonna look at us that way. When they see us, we might fight in this dorm, like we might fight behind closed doors, but when we get to them classrooms, when we're walking around the campus, we're a united front. And I don't even have to like you. But when we go out there around now, I know we different. If I had to slide you the answers, and there were several people who was like, no, you got to pass this class because this teacher's racist. And so you got to pass it. Here are the answers, pass the class. Because the people who look like us, we don't fail this class.
Right. And that's the support system. In a nutshell, right, is that you need people who are going to be your backbone sometimes when you can't stand up. And that's what I was talking about earlier with, Dr. Woods. He was like, look, you're going to go out there. You're going to do it. Because I was so nervous. I was telling the man I couldn't do it and everything. I was making up all excuses why I can't. I didn't have that positive talk yet. You know what I mean? Everything was I can't and why and how. So, I mean, he had to really motivate me. And after that, being able to do those things came easier to me. And I'm very thankful that he did that. But, especially in front of people who don't look like us. I'm going to talk about mental health in front of people who don't look like us. And I needed someone to push me. He's like, you can do that. You can do it. You can do it. And he was pushing me. And I had a few more mentors. Brother Maurice Bond, he used to be like, look, Lil, hey, I went to school later in life. He's like, I changed my whole degree. Because he had a completely different degree. He's like, you can go back and you can do this. So I needed people who could pump me up so I could do that. And people who were helping me. My network in grad school, some of my friends were with me yesterday. Man, I had about 5 or 6 of them. And we were always trying to pump each other up. We were always sliding each other answers, helping each other study. I needed that. I needed people.
We're not condoning cheating. I just want to put that out there. We are not condoning cheating.
We are not.
But I think that's an important statement, because sometimes you don't have resources. And when you matriculate through things, you simply don't know what you don't know. Right. And so having somebody who's gone before you and it's just like, okay, this is the way to think about this, or this is what it's really asking. I think that's helpful. And it's not always talked about from a healthy perspective. I remember when it was time to take comps, Roger Bell was like, Unique, this is what you need to study. And no lie, I think everyone who I took comps with, I think it was me and somebody else who passed on the first try, but everybody else had to retake it. And I was like, bro, if you had not told me literally what to study, I wouldn't have passed comps on the first time. He was like, and he had a nice, not so gentle conversation. And was just like, do not be a dummy. Here's this, study this.
Well, that's not cheating. Showing people what to study, preparing people because you've done it before them. That's what we got out the universities. A lot of these people, I took that class last semester. Let me show you what to study. It's not really cheating.
No, it's not cheating at all. That's a resource.
That's a resource. You need that. That's why it's good to have a support system. I needed people who were going to motivate me and push me to the next level and tell me I'm a dummy when I didn't study.
I think that's what I wanted to hit on. Like, all criticism is not going to come in a fluffy. It's not going to come fluffy with rainbows and butterflies.
It's not. I mean, the thing about it though is sometimes we just got to get out of our own. We got to get out of our feelings. We want everything packaged in a pretty and
sugar on top.
Yeah, with a little box and with a bow and no. But, like at the end of the day, you can see and discern their overall message through the presentation. Because the thing about it though is, like, for me, as a person, and I say this all the time, I'm exceedingly lazy. And being
mean.
Yeah, that too. But being lazy, I don't speak on things that I don't care about. Like, if I'm taking the time to speak to you about something in regards to X, Y, and Z, I'm speaking to you about that for a reason. Why? Because I personally hate to see other people fail. I hate to see other people fail, regardless if I like you, dislike you, hate you, whatever. I hate to see people fail. And so because I hate to see people fail, because other people took the time and were invested in me and my success, I try to pay that forward and be invested in other people being successful too. Because a lot of times what happens is you never know what someone's going through every single day. Yeah. And just you taking the time to be that rock when, it's storming and things just don't seem to be going right can get them through to the next day and the day after that and the day after that and the day after that. Because we get so caught up in our own selves sometimes, that we don't take the time to be invested in other people. Regardless of what the outcome may be, regardless if they're even willing to receive it. It's just the thing we're supposed to do. We should all be equally invested in other people around us, because we can impart change on people in so many different ways and not even realize we're doing it. And
I agree.
Go ahead.
I agree with that, but I think, I guess, to expand it would be to look at, sometimes we feel like we got to put on the cape and be everybody's everything to them.
Right.
But you got to recognize the type of support and that you could provide somebody. Sometimes that support is simply, hey, I'm just the friend that they call and I give them soundstage advice on this particular thing. Sometimes I'm the support for, I was a support right in this level and that's it. I might not carry over to the next one, right? Like, all right, this goes beyond me, goes beyond my scope of knowledge. I am tagging somebody else. You're it. I am passing the baton. Hey, I got this friend. They know how to do this. You will be in great hands. Boom. There you go. But I think so many times we do have some of those supports who feel like they want to, those people who feel like they want to be on every train. They got to have input on stuff. And it's just like, that might not be your lane though. Right. One of my mentees, love her to death. She is taking on a venture that I know nothing about. And I remember when she told me she was interested in it, I was just like, no, I think that is great. Many have gone before you in this. I don't know nothing about that though. And she's like, well, do you think I should do it? What should I do? I said, look, I can only tell you about a friend of mine that I know and trust who knows all about that venture. And I think you would get some valuable information by talking to them, not to me. I am here to celebrate and champion you on the success of it. And if you just want to bounce ideas off of like how something sounds, hey, I can do that, but I cannot give you constructive advice, criticism, or otherwise on a lane that I'm not a part of. And I think she respected me more for not trying to pretend like I knew something. And she still, because I call her my daughter, so she's like, well, I'm like, girl, I told you I don't know that. But she still feels comfortable enough to celebrate her successes and her wins, even though I didn't, because I didn't try to pretend. I didn't try to like be cool and know everything. And I think a lot of times as supports, we have to know our lane and know when to pass the baton.
Yeah, I mean, she's going to come to you because she knows that, one, you are going to lead with love. And in leading with love, you are always going to point her in the right direction, even if that's not with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for a lot of us, we, and Khalil's talked about this, you have to purposively now there are, in most cases, the people that are going to be your support system, they're going to come in your life without you even looking for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But also, we as fully functional adults should be going out of the way to place people in our lives.
Yes.
Seeking those people that you got, like you guys said, mentors, people that can inspire you, people that can motivate you, people that can empower you to be the best version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they, like you said, they don't have the knowledge or they don't have the resources, they can point you in the right direction or get you linked up with someone who can. Right. And that's what your support system should be doing. Sometimes
that's support. It's not even that's what they should be doing. That is support. It's not doing that. It's not support.
Yeah, it's just a hindrance at that point. It's a hindrance or it's a roadblock. And I think that for a lot of us, and I go back to always saying, about doing everything with a purpose. If you are trying to be successful, that means stepping outside of what's comfortable for you, things that you've always done, things that you've always relied on. Because if you continue to do the things you've always done or the things that are comfortable to you, you're always going to get the same results.
Yep.
Right?
If you're trying to get something different, you got to do different things, and that means
there's no growth in comfortability.
Exactly. If you're trying to upgrade, like it's no different than if you upgrade your phone. It's not going to be the same old phone. It's going to have more things, more gadgets, more, knickknacks.
More learning.
It has more things because guess what? It is a step up than what you used to have. Mm-hmm. And so for most of us, we want to step up in life or grow up or glow up or whatever euphemism you want to use. But then we're not willing to do the things necessary, such as recognizing, okay, this person, they're for this part of my life. This person is for this part of my life.
Right.
This person believes in me. This person does not. These people believe in me and are going to be in my tail if I mess up, I fumble, I stop, I do something I got no business doing. Whereas these people, they're with the foolishness. They're with the craziness. So these people probably don't need to be part of my support system. It's okay for them to be cheering me on, but they probably don't need to be a part of the support system.
They can be in your network.
Yeah,
network.
You have some drama, you might need them. You got some drama, you might need them.
I think certain people keep us humble, right? Like, there are certain social groups that literally, you're like, you know what? They remind me that I am human, and I am 2 seconds away from being that. If I'm not careful, right? I think we all have those people who would just keep us a lot bit humble, right? And who are great conversation and who know us without the success, right? And who are able to provide some grounding and even motivate us to continue to excel for greatness.
Right.
So without them, you're a different person. You're a different version of yourself. But I agree 100% that everybody is not invited to every cookout.
Right.
They're not. Because, if there's a reason why certain people are blessed the way they're blessed and why you're blessed the way that you're blessed. And that's one thing that you will see where people will try as they matriculate and grow in life. They want to bring people that have been day one and bring them with them, not understanding
And
that
they don't fit.
They don't fit that. Yet.
exactly. And it's not to say that you are better than the other person or they are less than because they're not where you're at, but understand that every place isn't for everybody and everything isn't for everybody. Shouldn't have access to everything. And I mean, to me, you kind of have to use discernment because, God gives us discernment and you start to recognize, okay, this is probably not the best function for this particular person.
Right.
But
So
you're either going to grow with somebody or you're going to grow apart from somebody. And we talked about that so many times, like in all of our relationship episodes.
for sure.
If you want to hear about that, go back. We talked about this.
Mhm.
But I think people understand that in like marriages and stuff like that. But when it comes to supports and friend groups, we kind of forget that. We're like, well, I've known this person since I was like 2. And so this my homie and I can't imagine not having them at every stage of my life. Well, if your homie is
That's not
only interested
realistic.
in doing the things that y'all was doing when you were 2, I'm not 2
Right.
anymore. I require different things than what I did when I was 2. Now, if we continue to require the same amount of things as we grew and we matriculated through life, then absolutely you can stay. But if not, then hey, I mean, I have best friends now who, some are married, some are single. And my single besties don't understand my married life. As much as I would like to discuss married things, with them, they just don't get it.
Yeah, that's not a concept they're familiar with. We talked about that. What was it?
Yeah.
2 episodes ago. Yeah, like you don't go to a single person for advice if you're married. You don't do that. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, but it doesn't mean that I cannot find support from those friends.
Right.
Mhm.
It does not mean that I can't, they're not in my network. They are. But when I'm looking for mentorship, for guidance, for support in a particular area, that's just not where I go to it.
Right.
And
it's okay to have those.
yeah, it don't take away from them.
Yeah, it doesn't take away from them. As I evolve, especially because I'm in my purpose right now, and I'm evolving. I meet more people. I add in more people to my network. I have people who are there for specific things. I am support for other people, and yes,
For
I don't have
specific things,
a complex. Like Unique said, I'm gonna point you in the right direction if I don't know it. I'm not gonna sit there and like I don't have a savior complex. I know I'm not God. I know I'm not Jesus. So if I don't know it, I'm going to point you in the right direction of some people I do know because I have a wide enough network where I could say, you know what, I don't fix cars. I know how to change oil. I don't fix cars, but I know a mechanic. I can change my oil, but I can't fix your car. I can change the tire, but I can't fix your engine. So I've had to learn over the years. I don't have a savior complex. I'm not going to go out there and tell you I can change your transmission. I can't do that.
Nope.
And those are things I had to learn over the years because I'm a support for a lot of people. And I had somebody support me yesterday. All he did is call and check in on me. Are you okay? and that's all I needed from him.
Khalil, you say something interesting in that. And this is something that I tell my client because when it comes to family, I think we operate in this system of shoulds. And I tell my clients, first day, shoulds don't exist in therapy. And they're not helpful in real life. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, my dog was knocking on the door. But I say that to say there are oftentimes we are looking for advice about fruit at the hardware store.
Mm-hmm.
The two they just don't mix. They may be able to tell me they might sell some seeds there and they might sell pruning shears, but they are not going to be able to tell me about ripe fruit, how to get the best fruit, how to make it the ripest, because that's not what it's designed to do. Doesn't mean that the advice I get about something that's related to what's in that hardware store is bad. No. But I can't look for fruit advice from a hardware store. And vice versa. I can't go to a fruit stand asking them about nails or tools
Mm-hmm.
It's never going to go there. And so sometimes we have to go to the place that is appropriate for that advice. And now I think when we are discerning, instead of looking at it as this person gave me bad advice, or this person is not good for me, or this person does not work, or they're a hater, this person does not have the capacity to support me in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
This person does not understand the premise from which I am talking to them about said subject, right? I cannot relate to them, and they cannot relate to me in that way. And I am asking for something that they will never be able to give me. And so I can only relate to them on a way that they will understand. I can only expect something from them that they're capable of giving. And I think when we're able to do that in our relationships, we will find that we have better relationships with people, and we develop healthier support systems. Because if you can only give me hood advice, we all need a little hood advice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not coming to you for non-hood related topics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm popping up, hands clapping, neck rolling, and that's how we're going to talk. And that's the only type of advice I'm expecting back.
Right. Help
when
me
you
back.
go out, this is how you do this. That's what I'm expecting. But if I'm going into corporate America and I'm trying to take hood advice to corporate America, it's probably not going to work.
Right.
Exactly. I mean,
the Dave Chappelle episode when he had to do, yeah, he was at the little board meeting and he did something hood because he was like, hey, I'm gonna do the same thing I would normally do. It doesn't fly in corporate America.
No, I mean, you have to have the right tool for the right job, and I mean that's the thing. So, like when it comes to establishing your support system, everyone plays their part. It's like cogs in a machine. The overall role of everyone in the support system is to keep the machine running. But when we're trying, like Unique said, trying to use the wrong tool in the wrong job, that's when things get out of whack and get misconstrued and things get, kind of just tore up. And it's just one of those things where, again, establishing your support system is going to be, some trial and error. There's going to be some trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be something that's going to occur overnight. It's not going to be something that's going to be instant like that. It's going to be something that normally your support system, your solid support system, that's normally something that has taken you years to construct.
Mm-hmm. Because it takes you to develop yourself.
Yeah. Right. I don't even think it takes years. I think you spend your entire life developing yourself. Because I learned something new about myself every day. And so, who I was yesterday is not who I am today. And so, as we grow and as we matriculate, our thoughts, mature, our beliefs mature. And so, the thing about it though is it's very imperative that you are surrounding yourself with the right people, because the right people in general that you surround yourself with affect your worldview, affect how you perceive things, affect how you interact with others. Because, we talked about this in a previous episode about sphere of influence. That's something I always tell people. You have a bubble that surrounds you. Mm-hmm. And so everyone has a bubble. So when I'm around other people, my bubble overlaps with their bubble. So thoughts, feelings, opinions that I have start to impact them and vice versa. And so if you spend enough time around somebody, you start to pick up slang that they say.
Yep.
You start to have thoughts that they have. Why? Because that's just how our brains work. The more the things that you tend to be exposed to or that you experience, as Unique talked about in the last episode, it starts to affect you. And so if you are trying to reach a certain level, you are trying to beat the game, if you will, there's going to be some things you have to do. You can't do level 1 stuff if you're trying to get to level 99.
That's it. Come on. It just don't count.
It's like this right here. So like if you are like my shirt here, Pikachu, if you have a level 1 Pikachu, you're not going to be able to beat a level 100 Charizard. It just ain't going to happen. You ain't doing no damage. Now the closer they get in level, the easy, the more competitive that battle is going to be. But if you're trying to get to level 99, there's going to be some
level 99 stuff.
Exactly. Right. So that's the problem that for a lot of us that we have is the fact that there's not and I had this conversation with psychiatrists I work with, either you can be inconvenienced now or you can be inconvenienced later, but you're going to be inconvenienced at some point in time.
Right. Something.
For me, I'd rather snatch the Band-Aid off now, be inconvenienced now, than at the most inopportune time. Now I'm going to be inconvenienced, and now I'm going to have to hard stop whatever it is that I'm doing and try to solve the problem when I could have just did that from the very beginning. Right. And so for me, everything goes back to being purposeful in what I'm trying to accomplish, moving on purpose. Because when I'm moving on purpose and I am moving in line with what my life is supposed to be, it becomes a lot easier to make really hard decisions. Yeah. But when I'm trying to move separate from my purpose, that's when I start to have the chaos. That's when I start having turmoil. That's when I start having all types of problems I never foresaw happening. That's when I start to experience those things. So when you move on purpose, again, people will come into your life that are supposed to be there.
The people you choose are going to be different. When you're moving purposely, you're like, nah, you can't be here because you going to mess up what I got going on, and I can't have it. I can't afford that.
Exactly.
Right? I think you talked about, I can't remember the acronym right now, but how like people messing up their bag. Like,
protecting your meat?
Protecting your meat. Man, I love that. I literally love that because I got to protect the things that matter most to me. Mm-hmm. And if I see that you're not valuing that, then you just can't stay.
Right. Exactly. And
I don't mean you're a bad person. You're just not for me.
Well, and when someone they could be reckless and they could be, messing up what you're trying to accomplish. Mm-hmm. When people are supposed to be in the circle, they know what their job is.
Right.
They know what their role is. It's no different than when you're watching the NFL. Everyone when you are on defense, everyone knows what they're supposed to do. Just like on offense, everyone knows what they're supposed to do. They're not trying to establish that in the midst of the play.
Defense.
Now there are some times like where, like, say a field goal gets blocked and the kicker may have to throw himself in the way of somebody, but for the most part, everyone knows.
Everybody
what.
knows.
Even that's intentional. But even that's intentional because you understand when the course of the game changes. In a split second, I have to defend the team.
Right.
And I think when you have people in your life who have that oneness of mind that says, I have to protect the team, I have to protect the brand, I have to protect the vision, then we make decisions that are going to align with that. When I was the COO at my last company and I would onboard new staff, I would really drive home what the company's mission was. And I would tell them from day one, we serve with the gold standard. And they would look at me kind of like, the gold standard? I mean, y'all not better than nobody else. I said, but for our clients, we are.
Oh, yeah.
We are the best thing that they've ever experienced. We treat, every client, every time they show back up, because I worked in substance abuse, so every time they come back, we treat them like it's their very first time, and that this is the best place that they can ever come to seek for help. And that means we say the same things, we do the same things, no matter how many times people piss us off, no matter how many times you get called a B, no matter how many times this client leaves the program and comes back.
Right.
We treat them with the gold standard. We treat them like it's their very first time walking in this door, and that we are personally invested in their health and their wholeness. Mm-hmm. And so I think when I started doing that, it changed how we did business with people. It changed how people viewed the business, right? Because our reputation at one point was in the dumps. Right. But when we started operating with that, and everybody didn't buy into it because of previous leadership, but the people who did buy into it, the clients responded differently to it. Our stakeholders responded differently to it. The staff members responded to each other differently because our mindset had become one, and we were committed to, this is the brand that we want to push, right? This is how people
working on one accord. When you're all working on one accord, things move in order, and you have more of people.
When you have movement.
We have movement, period. And it should be positive. It should be an upward thrust. You should be getting increase when you're moving on one accord. Similar to the Tower of Babel, right? Everybody's moving on one accord. What? It went up. The tower kept building. It kept building. It kept building till God had to disrupt it, right? But they were moving on one accord. And I think what you're preaching right now, I'm going to pick up a little bit of that right now, because I've been trying to build my team at my job. And I'm like, I'm trying to get them all on one accord, man. It is customer service. I work in substance abuse. It's hard. I'm like, gotta give a good customer service. You know, they're coming back. I mean, yes, there's death too. But you know, they're usually coming back. That's the high recidivism rate of substance abuse. We get it. But you have to all be on the same page. You have to do good customer service. So when I see people talking about their brand, man, I'm not going to shop at your brand if you treat me like dog crap. You know, why would I want to come back to you? Why would I want anything from you? So that's what we're trying to do. You're trying to build your network. You're trying to build your support system. You are your brand. Yep. People don't think like that. When I go outside, people see me like, oh, you know what? You're a therapist, aren't you? Damn, I just seen you cuss two people out. Come on, I just messed up my brand.
Well, not even just that, but you don't just represent yourself. You represent the rest of the tribe, the rest of the team, the rest of the pack, the rest of the pride. Because I mean, like when you look at like wolves and lions, you know, lions and wolves are super successful at hunting. Why? Because everyone plays a role. Everyone does their part. Yep. I'll chase the animal for a little bit, then you tag in and you're chasing. And before long, they're
tear it up and break it apart for the pack.
Yep. and sometimes again, like I said, you don't always win, but we share in the victories and we share in the losses. But that sharing is what makes it much more bearable. Yeah. That sharing is what allows you to learn. That sharing is what is going to get you guys to where you need to be. Because again, life is not meant for us to experience things by ourselves. We as human beings we're social creatures. We need other human beings to just have a normal mental well-being. You need human interaction. And so we are not an island to ourselves. We're not a continent to ourselves. We're not a country to ourselves. So you want to surround yourself with people who are going to light that fire underneath you, and feed into you, pour into you, constantly keep you motivated and constantly keep you focused on what you're supposed to be doing, what your mission is. Because we all have a mission. We all have a purpose. And I feel that for a lot of us, when we don't know what our purpose is, we don't know what our mission is, we're just drifting aimlessly. Right. And that's when
then you can't even find the accurate supports. Yeah, when you have no destination, you will wander aimlessly. And you will think that anybody on the journey is to get you there, and you will assimilate to whatever they tell you. But when you have a set destination, anybody who comes along who does not meet that, it'll be easy to weed them out and cut them off. You'll be able to discern that this person is not for me. But and we talked about this before, I think, just like reaching your full purpose and potential, you have to first know what that looks like.
Yep. You have to know
understand that.
What you're trying to accomplish. I mean, I think that I was just explaining this to somebody on Friday. So like for me, every Friday, I go and collect comic books and stuff like that. And so we were at the trading card store. And so this guy comes and he's just now learning how to play the game. And so I'm having to explain to him, like the basic concept of the game. And so I asked him, like, what type of strategy are you going for? Like, what's the theme of the strategy? By establishing what the theme of the strategy is, that allows you to be able to construct the deck. That tells you what cards you need to add, which cards you don't need. Because if you don't know the strategy you're trying to accomplish, you're just buying cards. You're wasting your money at that point.
Yeah. So
like you said, by sitting down and figuring out what it is that you're trying to accomplish, that makes everything easier. It takes the guesswork out of it. Okay, this is what I'm trying to do. Say your goal is, I want to be a doctor. If my goal is I want to be a doctor, I probably don't need to hang out with people that are their whole concern, their life centers around going to the gym all the time. Because how are they going to help me become a doctor? There's going to be some things they can kick in and chip in, but it doesn't feed into my dream of becoming a doctor. Yep. So those are things that you have to know what your mission is. You have to know what your overall end state is going to be. And that is what steers you and helps you figure out who's here, who belongs here, who should have unfettered access and who shouldn't.
Yeah. And I think too, in addition to that, it helps you to put value and stock in your vision or your mission, right? As clinicians, and I'll speak to, Rod Jamel and myself, because I think, Khalil, you're working on your independent letters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and Rod Jamel, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when we got those independent letters behind our name, how we practice changed. Who we even dealt with in our personal life changed, because I have something to lose now. And while you might not value this,
right,
I'll speak for myself in this. There are certain things and certain people I do not associate with when I got my license, because now I'm number one Googleable.
Right.
And I can get sued.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
I can't put myself in certain situations on the clock or off, because I have to value where I am in life. And just because you don't does not bring my value down. I just cannot associate with you.
There are certain people I don't hang out with. You can't be around me. I can't be around you. If you gonna be in this place, you let me know, so I make sure we ain't in the same place at the same time.
I can't be there.
And it's not because I think I'm better than anybody else or they're beneath me or nothing, but I have things to lose. And so I have this conversation with my coworkers all the time. That decision may work for you because you don't have what I have.
Yeah.
But I'm not
risking. I can't conduct myself that way.
Exactly. Right. I can't conduct myself that way. I can't have my name attached to certain things. Yep. So because of that, I move a certain way. I think a certain way. I process things a certain way. Like Khalil said, I'm playing chess, not checkers.
Yeah. And there's a different expectation for me because of the level that I've reached, right? When we're talking about Pikachu, you don't expect what was the thing?
Charizard.
A Charizard to behave like a level 1 Pikachu. There are certain expectations you have for Charizard because of the power, the knowledge, the experience, the exposure that the Charizard has. If it start acting like a Pikachu, you're gonna be confused. You're like, what? Why are you behaving that way? Right? And I think sometimes we have to, once you surround yourself with those supports, once you know where you're going, and once you reach a certain level, you have to conduct yourself. The expectations are different for you, and you have to conduct yourself accordingly, right? Because you represent your tribe, because you represent your brand, because you represent the level that you've attained. So you got to do things a bit differently. Does that mean that you will not be able to, be in certain situations that are beneath the level of acclaim that you've reached? 100%. You will find yourself in different levels, but you still have to conduct yourself as someone who has graduated above that.
Right.
Right?
Because as God blesses you with more, He expects you to do more and to be more. Right. And that's something that we have to all stay true to, and it like you said, as you grow and as you matriculate, you start to move in different circles. You start to elevate and graduate to a different circle. And again, that growth and that development it's never going to be seamless. It's never going to be easy. It's not going to be pain free. There's going to be some relationships that you're going to lose along the way because, again, this person is not conducive to you being at that next stage in life. And you may not be conducive to them being at their next stage in life. It like I said, it's not going to be something that's going to be painless and seamless, but it's going to be something that is a process. And anything that is worth having is worth going through the process for. You got to trust in the process, pray about it, and believe in what you're praying for, because God is going to deliver on what you're praying for and what you believe in. And so we're going to end the conversation there. Right. This is Try Not to Overthink It signing out. I'm RJ.
I'm Unique.
And I'm Khalil.
And we will catch you in the next episode. If you like what you heard, we ask that you like, share, subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. We can be found on YouTube as Try Not to Overthink It. We are continually growing, and we want you to be a part of the conversations and be a part of the tribe and grow with us. Join the family. If you would prefer to listen to what we are saying instead of watching it, I don't know why you would, because you're missing out on the antics in these faces. We can be listened to on Audible, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much anywhere that you can place an audio file, we are available. So try not to overthink it. So again, this is us signing out, and we'll catch you in the next episode.